Hello, MCU fans! Today we're going to be looking at predictions for Agatha All Along's final 3 episodes. I cannot wait to see how this series ends. Now, about halfway through the video, I will be discussing trailer scenes for those final 3 episodes, and I know that not everybody likes to see those, so I will give you fair warning when that's coming up in case you want to bail at that point. But lots to discuss, so let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we have an October contest running all month long. Be a subscriber, leave a comment. You could win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck. And we have a membership option with lots of cool perks, so you might check it out in case you're interested. All right, so similar to last week, Jack Schaefer and Joe Locke did interviews, in this case with Variety, talking about some of the mysteries they feel were fully revealed, and they want to make sure that we're no longer trying to guess at them. So there's no spoilers here, well, unless you haven't seen episode 6, but I'm sure you've seen that by now. So, Joe Locke explained that yes, indeed, Billy is meant to be the last witch in the coven. The black heart Lilia writes in episode 2 with the other names evokes the black heart emoji that Eddie sends Billy. Of course, he's referring to this text message and the black heart that was sent. So yeah, that definitely confirms that when Lilia wrote down the members of the coven, the last one was just a black heart, because of course the sigil made it so she couldn't write Billy's name, but that was the last member of the coven. So that means Rio is not a member of the coven, and that means, I guess, that Billy is the Green Witch. So we'll talk more about that as we go on. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Also, there was a visual clue. Can't believe I missed this. Look at Billy's earring. If we zoom in, from this angle, it looks more like a triangle. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's meant to be a black heart. So they talked about the fact the costumes give away a lot of hints to the plot. And sure enough, yep, he is the black heart. All right, so another interesting thing. A very clever commenter asked a question, and I'll get to that comment in a second, but asked a question of what is missing from the crash? What is missing? So think about what Agatha said happened during the crash. What do you not see here? Well, I'll show you the answer. So Kathy, 7130, said, if you watch the crash scene again, the front airbags did not deploy. Whoa. So either Agatha got it wrong or there was another accident. Of course, what Kathy's referring to is when Agatha talked about this crash, or seemingly talked about the crash, and said the front 2 airbags deployed. Interesting. So it's possible that they just made a mistake and the airbags should have been seen deployed here. And if so, I will totally give grace to Jack Schaefer. This is a very detailed show. Making a mistake like that is understandable, and we don't want to worry about it. But they've been so close or so careful with the details, you gotta wonder, was this intentional? And if so, is there a separate crash? And did maybe Tommy's soul go into somebody in that crash? Oh my. So I hope Jack Schaefer answers this as well, so we don't go down a rabbit hole on this. But I will say that it is very interesting. And thank you, Kathy, for pointing this out. Craziness. All right, something else to talk about, the remaining trials. So we know that we've had the water trial, fire trial, and spirit trial. I believe the next trial is going to be the air trial. And I say that because it's yellow, its color is yellow, and of course the leaves, as we've seen, are yellow. So we're heading to the air trial, and I'm certain it's Lilia's, because look at that list: intuition, knowledge, renewal, change. That's just absolutely describing Lilia. So, okay, the next trial is Lilia's, meaning the only one left is the earth trial. So I don't know what to think about this. I mean, none of those traits, fertility, wealth, abundance, strength, wisdom, necessarily scream Billy. And maybe strength, because he is by far the strongest witch. I mean, he's going to be so powerful when he assumes his role as Wiccan down the road. But yeah, what do you think? Surely it's got to be Billy's, right? In fact, he's often wearing green. I mean, the black heart was in his ear, so maybe the green means something as well, the green shirt he keeps wearing. So, all right, I think the next challenge is Lilia's and then Billy's. So, one of the most interesting things in this Variety article is they asked Joe Locke, what's going on with the fact that Billy seems to be some kind of magical mastermind? So what are they talking about here? Well, they're pointing out something that his room really gave us tons of Easter eggs for the road. For example, in the upper left-hand corner, if we zoom in, that's leaves, right? And those leaves look exactly like the leaves on the road. Interesting. They also point out, look at this. Look at these decorations here. If we go back and look at the third trial, 5th episode, that is absolutely the decorations that we saw during the spirit trial. And if we look at this poster here and we zoom in on it, that is Fleetwood Mac. And where did we see that poster? We saw that during the 2nd trial, the 4th episode. Man, I mean, there's way too many coincidences here to ignore this, right? And if we even go back to William's room, William Kaplan, he had Wizard of Oz stuff all over the place. This is just one example, but there's a ton of it. And obviously, the road has tons of Easter eggs for the Wizard of Oz. I mean, down the road, follow the yellow leaf road, right? So what is going on here? Why are we seeing so many things that are tied to both either Billy or William showing up on the road? Well, maybe Agatha gave us the answer. She did explain that the road changes for the coven. And we saw that, right? Each of the trials has been based on the specific aspects of the person being challenged. I mean, the Jen and the potion challenge was specific to her. And Alice was obviously very specific to removing her curse. And obviously Agatha's was very specific to her and hearing Nicholas calling out to her. So maybe, therefore, the road is changing for Billy's needs. It's pulling things from his memory and his mind to make him more comfortable, to make it suit him better. Because remember, Agatha said it really suits you early on. So that's one possibility. But Kathy had some really good comments. Her comment also said, it's obvious what the Maximoff tell is. Remember, Agatha said there's a tell, and that's how she knew who Billy was. So Kathy points out, what do WandaVision and the trials have in common? They're all based on movies and TV shows. So maybe that is how Agatha knew. It's like, Agatha's like, wait, this is the same stuff that Wanda did. You're doing the same thing, Billy. I'm on to you now, buddy. Very interesting. So it still asks the question, though, is he doing it on purpose? Is it the road pulling it from his mind? What is going on? And don't forget, remember, every one of the challenges Billy has initiated. He knew how to start them, and in many cases, he finished them. Like the Ouija, he finished. And he was very helpful in the other two trials. Okay, so I'm going to throw out 3 ideas here. I really want to know your opinion on whether you think it's one of these 3 or maybe a 4th. So it could be that the road is literally just pulling ideas from Billy's mind, and he has no idea. He had nothing to do with anything. That's a possibility, and actually, I'll get to why, but that's my favorite vote, to be honest. All right, so then we have that Billy subconsciously created the entire road, like similar to how Wanda created the hex. Didn't know she did it, but obviously it pulled things from her memory and from her childhood, etc. The only reason I don't like this one is, well, because Wanda already did it. I mean, basically, it'll be a redo of WandaVision. I mean, that's not the end of the world, but I just think that would be weird to ultimately have the same hook and angle we had before. Then there's Billy intentionally created the road. So he did this on his own and obviously pulled a lot of things that he liked personally and threw them into the road. I could see this being the answer, but here's my real issue with this. Why? What's his angle? What does he get from that? Creating a fake road. He's the one that wants to find Tommy. How does creating a fake road get him any closer to finding Tommy? So that's why I really like this one the best. It's not an exciting answer, I know, but I don't like the idea that Billy created the road either consciously or subconsciously. Let me know your thoughts, though. I'd love to know what you think is going on, because there is clearly something going on. Way too many Easter eggs, way too many hints to ignore. All right, so I'm now going to move to the part where I'm going to talk about the trailers. So I'm going to give you a chance to get in and stop the video. I won't be offended if you don't watch anymore. And while you're getting up to stop it, I do want to give credit to JD Marsh, 91, because JD provided some awesome behind-the-scenes videos that Marvel provided. I want to stress, I'm not going over any leaks. There's no leaks. I hate those. This is stuff that Marvel posted on their Twitter account. But the really cool stuff. There'll be some things you haven't seen before. All right, so I'm assuming you have left the video if you don't want to see trailers. So here we go. Now, we did talk about this one in the previous video, but I want to talk about this in relation to the new revelation that Billy may have been working on the road. Maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally. So we see somebody, we're going to see it's Billy, drawing a circle here, lighting candles, and then we get this shot from a very early trailer released by Marvel, and that is clearly Billy. I mean, you see the candles, you see him drawing the circle. That's exactly what we have here. Now, what's interesting is, at first I thought, well, he's wearing different clothes than he's wearing in the series. Maybe, maybe not. Because the same jacket, it might be the same jacket, and if it's closed a little bit, you wouldn't see the rip there in his jacket. And the lighting is really weird, so it could make the green look like it's white. So maybe what ended up happening is he snuck into Agatha's basement before he went up and got the brooch, and he created the opening to the road. Now, that doesn't mean he created the road, but he definitely seems to have created the opening. Boy, this does build more and more to the theory that Billy was behind all this, doesn't it? So interesting, because it looks exactly like the door that they end up opening. I mean, clearly, he created this door. And so when he went running down the stairs, it had opened before he came downstairs. But you wonder, did he open it through a spell from upstairs? Did he make it open so they could go down there? Let me know your thoughts on that. All right, so now let's talk about some flashbacks. I've shown some of these scenes in an earlier video, but there's a little more context that JD has provided. So we see somebody, and then it turns out it's going to be Agatha walking down a road here. She's turning around. Clearly, that's Agatha. But this is really cool. In a behind-the-scenes footage, because you can see a boom mic there, we see definitely there's Agatha, and now we see the other witches. We can see all of them walking around behind her and next to her. So now they continue down the road, and then we see them blasting her. So there's 4 total, and we see one of them here, and we see one of them here. And then we see Agatha. Now, that's definitely Agatha getting blasted. And then here she's really loving it a bunch. So I had asked, who are these people? What do people think? Some people made some really good comments on the videos saying it's got to be the Daughters of Liberty that she talked about. When she said, do you ever hear about the Daughters of Liberty? And everybody's like, no. She's like, see, that's why, because she killed them all. So definitely that would make sense. I mean, in the comics, they're all different superheroes. But I think in this case, the Daughters of Liberty were one of her earlier covens, and she wiped them out. Okay, that works. But this is interesting. A lot of people pointed out this image here is not the same as the one we saw before. This is 2 different times. So I think we're going to see 2 different, points in Agatha's life. So I think we're going to see several times in her life where she formed a coven and killed everyone. Crazy, right? Because then this is a new shot of her falling down. Maybe the power was too much for her, I'm not sure. But then we get this shot, which we talked about in an earlier trailer, where she's wearing leather. So again, I think she's just doing this down through the ages. Now, one of the most interesting things that JD provided is this shot. Doesn't this look familiar? This looks exactly like what we saw in episode 8 of WandaVision. In fact, this is such a weird looking shot. You can see the coven that was shooting their powers at her, but then it's a wider shot and you can see all these torches around. So it's almost like Agatha is being forced to watch all the things she did. So maybe they're in a room and she's being tortured by having to see everything. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I would love your thought. But that is really cool looking. All right, so I'm now convinced this is a flashback for Rio. Because notice the trees, this doesn't look anything like the road. It's too light, etc. And I think this was a red herring to make us think, oh, Rio's the Green Witch. I don't think Rio is the Green Witch. I think it's Billy, because he's been wearing green as well. All right, so then there is a shot here where it's a little darker, but I still think we're not on the road. The trees don't look anything like the road. I think this is going to be a flashback to when Rio met Agatha for the first time. And they started their relationship together and then headed off to do the Titanic and Hindenburg and all the stuff we saw in episode 6. So let me know your thoughts on that, but I think this is when Agatha and Rio will have first met. All right, so just a reminder that we did get this shot where, and a lot of people suggested the fingernails of the hand touching Alice's face might be Rio's. I could buy that. And then that Alice is somewhere, I don't know, like an afterlife. Can't wait to learn more about that. All right, so now I do think, based on what we've been seeing with just Tommy and Agatha walking away from the bog, that Jennifer and Lily are stuck down here. So I think they're going to have to walk through this underground cavern to get to the next trial. Or maybe they pull themselves out and show up late to the trial. I don't know. But I'm really curious to see how they get out of here. And I do think, as we discussed earlier, that this is part of the remnants of the public failed transit system, which again goes with this idea that Billy created the road on top of what was already there underground. Craziness. All right, so, because again, notice here, we only see Billy and Agatha walking, which is really strange. But maybe the others catch up, or maybe they come in from the basement of this castle. Can't wait to find out. But all right, once again, we get the moon here for the next phase. This is definitely the air trial. A lot of Wizard of Oz imagery in here because of the hourglass. We get the Wicked Witch of the West. This was a fun shot JD provided of Agatha here saying, oh, you have a real gift. So that's interesting to see how that goes in context. Here's another one of a behind the scenes of Lilia, because you can see obviously the camera folks are all taking shots of her, but she looks really cool. So then here we get the swords in the ceiling that fall down, and then they turn around and see them. And then this is kind of a new shot there of just seeing the sword, but you can also see the tarot cards on the table. And then they're all scared of the sword, obviously. Here's the shot, which has Agatha on the left as the Wicked Witch of the West, and Lily as Glinda, Billy as Maleficent, And then Jennifer, I guess, as the Snow White witch. That's kind of funny. In fact, for Jennifer to be African American and to be patterned after Snow White, that's kind of funny. They're really having some fun with this. All right, so obviously the Salem Seven seem to arrive. They're causing trouble, hissing at them. Then Lilia, either the challenge did this or Lilia did it, but if Lilia did it, I have no idea how. But they lose gravity. We can see all the tarot cards flying up. Here's a shot of the tarot cards. And you can see the Three of Swords there, which is Agatha's card. And then really clearly we get a shot of the Queen of Cups, which is Lilia's card. They keep floating up, and I bet they're going to get impaled by these swords, I bet. This is going to be nasty. This may be the end of the Salem Seven, this challenge. Then we get a shot here from outside, and then this shot that's dreamlike. And I'm wondering if this is maybe Lilia going back in time, if this is like her entering a dream state, and we're going to learn how she does her divinations and sees things forward and in reverse. Because this sure seems like, number one, the Queen of Cups card, but number two, she's dressed just like she was as a little girl. So, and walking towards this little gazebo. So really fascinating. And then a couple of people threw out the idea that her eyes, when we zoom in, maybe that's one of the Salem Seven. It does kind of look like one of their witchy forms. So that's cool. All right, so I am guessing Lilia dies in that challenge, and we'll see why in just a second. So I think this is after the challenge where now we're to green, because the background looks kind of green, so we're getting ready for the green challenge. And this is where Billy's having the heart-to-heart saying, why do you let them believe those things about you? And of course, he's referring to the fact that Nicholas was, given up for the Darkhold, because a lot of people think she did child sacrifice. And she says, because the truth is too awful. And of course, a lot of people have been theorizing, and I agree, that she accidentally absorbed young Nicholas, maybe 5-6-year-old Nicholas's powers, and killed him by accident. Yikes. Which is why he's screaming, Mama, stop. So yeah, that's really cool. But all right, so they have this little tender moment, but then this is interesting. Something changes because she's all excited. She laughs and she says, get ready for fireworks. And then notice behind her, there's Jen, but no Lilia. So keep that in mind because we're going to see another scene with no Lilia. But she says, get ready for fireworks, get ready for spectacle. And then this is really cool. This is another JD thing. Notice it's the shoes that they left behind. What's going on? How are the shoes there suddenly? Have they circled back? Or maybe these are new shoes they're supposed to put on. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, this is interesting. So she trips over the shoes, right? And again, there's Jen, but there's no Lilia. So yeah, I am 99% sure Lilia does not make it through the air trial. And it's just Jen, Billy, and Agatha. So yeah, then here's Agatha laying on the ground saying, you gotta be kidding me. She's so frustrated. But notice the leaves are clearly green. We are headed to the Earth trial. So I think either this is where we get this funny little, the bodies are really piling up line, or maybe it's after the Earth trial. It's kind of hard to tell. The background still looks kind of green, the lighting. So I'm kind of guessing that it's Rio giving them a warning, and then she gives them a little scolding. So let me know your thoughts on that. But this one really looks green behind. So yeah, I think this is before they go to the Earth trial. All right, so some really interesting stuff in this that JD sent. So this we've seen before, where Agatha is climbing out of a body bag, and I believe this is definitely a morgue. But now look at this. On the ceiling, this is the timer, these lights, because the lights continue to spin around and all light up, and then I'm betting they slowly go out as the timer. In fact, that might be Earth. Now that I'm thinking about it, in the center, what if that's dirt just waiting to fall in when the timer goes down? Because we're going to see there is definitely a collapse of dirt coming. All right, so this is fascinating. All the lights are lit on the top. Notice this is behind the scenes. You can see all the camera people there. But look who's over in the corner. Jen. That's the first we've seen her, just for a second there. But she is part of this trial. Very interesting, because we don't see her here when Agatha's talking to Billy and says this can end right here, right now, and she does this strange thing to him that we still don't know what's going on. Maybe she's helping separate Billy Maximoff from Billy Kaplan's body. Maybe Tommy's in there too. Maybe Billy Kaplan is actually still in the body with Billy Maximoff. I don't know what. There's so many possibilities for what's going on here. But look up above. There's only one line right under the word Earth on my header there. Notice there's only one line left. So we're right at the very end as this thing is counting down. And then Agatha's screaming. Then that explains this. See, I think it's now collapsing. The dirt is collapsing in, because look at this shot with all the rubble. Yikes. And then here's what's interesting. We don't see Agatha running up the stairs, and I think Teen probably ran with her. My guess is Jen is still stuck in here, and that's why she crawls out of the ground. She crawls out of the hole that was created when the challenge ended, and so she escapes this way. So Jen may be one of the few to actually get off the road alive like that. Everybody else, I think, is dead. Well, other than obviously Teen, Agatha, and Rio. Okay, so now I'm really torn on what's going on. I know we have a final boss battle. The question is it back in the real world, or is the road creating Agatha's house? Because they tell us at least it's Rio. A lot of people said this sounds like Wanda, but they tell us it's Rio, so let's believe them for now. But in the end, all roads lead to me. So let's say that's Rio walking out. So this is Agatha's house. I guarantee you this has got to be Agatha's house. The question, though, is it on the road, or are we in the real world now? But yeah, so we get Rio sitting up on the rooftop. A couple of people pointed out in my last video that whatever is beneath her doesn't look like her leg. That it's too long to be her leg. So what is she sitting on there? That's interesting. But then she's blowing a kiss from the rooftop down at Agatha. And then Agatha's down below screaming, "I want my prize." Notice she's wearing that same outfit she was wearing at the end of the Earth trial. And the windows are exploding. Of course, the glass cuts her. We've seen this before, cuts her face. We see Rio, I believe Rio, sending this vine around her. So that sure seems like an Earth thing there, like Rio is the Earth Witch. Somebody suggested this might be Wanda getting drug off her body. I'm betting it's still Agatha because I don't think Agatha has shoes on anymore. And then something comes flying out of the house and just over her head. And then this is interesting. Now, this is the behind-the-scenes image here, but clearly they're in that backyard, and Agatha's in a different outfit. What is going on? Because we did see this in the trailer, where Rio says, "Will Agatha Harkness finally meet her end?" So I don't understand why she's in a different outfit. Maybe this is something from the past. This might be a trailer, or this might be a flashback shot, or maybe they're back in the real world and her outfit changes again. I don't know. I'm really torn on what's going on here. But yeah, I do think all these final scenes are from a boss battle. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is in the real world, or do you think this is all still happening on the road? And how do they get out of the road? I'm dying to know that as well. Okay, share your theories. I really want to know your thoughts. I've tried my best to take all of these different trailer shots and put them together, but I really want to know your thoughts on it as well. So 3 more episodes, 2 more weeks. Cannot wait. So don't forget, October contest, be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook, and there's that membership option in case you're interested in that. And then I always like to mention the Discord. We're up to 1,800 members now. This is the spoiler section for Agatha All Along. Very active section. Tons of comments in here. So we would love for you to be part of this as well, and I will leave a pinned comment so that you can join. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, the ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.